Here's the setup we're running on the dyno. Got our Bikeman full production stamped 850 pipe, and we'll show you what it does. What you've all been waiting for, and it's even better than the pre-production one, because this one's actually stamped and has smoother lines inside for the sound waves to bounce back and forth. So here, let's go into the first run. You can see right here, engine's at 95, exhaust is at 345 to start with, so it's basically just an idling sled. It's a first cold pipe run. Pretty decent. We had 180.3 and 118.4 foot-pounds of torque. Peak torque was at 7,900 and peak horsepower was at 8,100. So let's go into the next run, and we will do some long continuous pull. Alright, so let's go back into another one here. Second run, we're at 178.7 at 8150, and we are torque 116.9 at 7950. And I'll show you what the air is today just so you can see it. It's 23 degrees in the dyno room. It's actually taken away horsepower. Our correction is 0.985 of original is what we end up with on this run. So you can see humidity, vapor pressure, barometric pressure, and so on. Does not seem to be giving up anymore on the third run, and we're at 179.9 at 8150 and 116.9 at 8,000. As the pipe gets hotter, we move that torque up to a little higher RPM. So, and you can see our AFRs are none too lean. You know, at peak power we're at like 12.5, which is a very sustainable place to be. Fourth run into it, we have 180 at 8,100 and 116.8 for torque, and the peak torque actually happened at 8050 that time. So like I said, hotter pipe moves that peak torque up a little higher, and if you do it right, you can still hit that horsepower number with it. So we'll do one more run here, and then we'll go into a long pull, and that seems to be what everybody likes the most. So we'll definitely include that on here for you to let you know how much power it gives up as it gets really hot, because they all seem to give up a little bit, but we try to make them give up the least possible. So it's all right in that same 179, 180 range. I'll overlay the last four so we can see them here. And you can also see during the runs we are monitoring if it's making any adaptation for any knock, and this setup has been running extremely clean. We played with modifying stock pipes by putting a smaller internal stinger in them and adding a little bit of length to the body, and we found that the 850 has too much volume of exhaust flow for it to sustain for any length of time while you do that. It might make one quick blast of power, but after that it doesn't sustain without DETing. So we decided against that. We have been doing pipe mods here for many years, but on the Axis 800 and 850 we do not think it's a good idea. We will do them for you if you want us to, but we prefer not to. So here you go. You can see peak torque moved over to the right at a higher RPM as the pipe got hotter, so there's a little bit of change there. And as far as your horsepower, I mean, it looks like 881 to 8200 on a hot pipe is where you're going to want to be with our Bikeman pipe. So with no further ado, let's get into the long wide open throttle runs. Alright, so red is going to be our horsepower. This top line is 178, so hopefully it's stays right up at that, but let's go into this. And we're going to be sitting at 8150 for these runs, just because that's the middle of the power band. So there you got over a minute worth of run, and you can see for the majority of that, the first 40 seconds or so, it was up over the 178 mark. It does, slowly as the pipe gets hotter, it adds more and more fuel at the end there, so it definitely drops down a little bit. But for the majority of you people running with a pipe, holding it a minute or more is not that common. So you can see that in the initial part of that, it was definitely ripping really hard. So that's the Bikeman Performance Pipe. Can't wait to see the feedback from everybody once you get them.